Okay, so in order to get into InDesign, you are going to go to where your Adobe Creative Cloud is. And your Adobe Creative Cloud is going to look something like this. And you're going to go into where this says All Apps, and you have to make sure that your InDesign is installed. So if you look down at these others down at the bottom, you can see Lightroom, Premiere Pro, Premiere Rush, After Effects, all these different programs, and you'll see here that they're not installed. Now, I already have InDesign installed. And like one of the nice things about this little Creative Pro, the Creative Suite for Adobe, is that you'll notice that it'll have some information. So there's my icon for InDesign. This is, it tells me if it's up to date. So actually right now, it looks like it's trying to update Illustrator for me, even though I didn't ask it to, but okay, that's fine. And then you'll notice here that it says open and then explore tutorials. See that little tutorials button? This is a great place for you to just kind of go on your own and start looking for information. So see how every one of these has a nice little tutorial button? Another place to find them is over on the left. Also, and this is important, is that you'll notice that it will tell you about plugins, and it'll also talk about other versions, and it'll talk about different kinds of versions. So like if I click on other versions, it shows me that I have access to all these legacy versions. So see this? I can go all the way back to 18.0, right? Which is like, I don't know, 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And then the most current version is 19.5. Now, why does that matter? Because if you're working with certain kinds of programs like Amazon or Blurb or other book creator programs or whatever, they're going to have plugins for you. And they're going to basically set it up so that you can just directly work in InDesign and then go right to the program and upload your files. And if you don't have the correct version for their plugin, right, then it's not going to work right and it's not going to upload for you. What does that mean? Well, for example, back in the day, before that you could do digital updates like my Illustrator's updating right now, you would have CDs, or you would get sent an update like once a year. And so most of the large software companies kind of still keep on that kind of a record, unless, you know, that once a year thing, unless there's a big bug that has a security problem, right? So then they'll send updates because of the security issue. Something was breached, they want to fix it, and then they'll send it right away and say, emergency, need to update this thing. But normally for Adobe, and this is, you know, kind of been time since the company began, they do major revisions of their software in October. So now, but once they make that revision, once they make that update and they add all their new stuff, then all the plugins are going to be outdated. And if that company doesn't pay the fee to get the data for those updates, you know, there's the code for those updates, then their version of the plugin is outdated. And so then once they get it, like if it happens in October, they get it right away, and then they start working on their updates. So sometimes their updates aren't finished until November or December. So what that means is there's that gap of time. And so what I tend to tell students is always check that if you're working with other programs within, you know, that go and use the Adobe, and make sure that you're compatible. And if you're not, that means that you can have, over here, we'll just say done, you could have two versions of this open at one time. So you could have a new version and an older version. And then you could work with the update with the older version. Does that make sense to everyone? Everyone kind of understand that? Okay. So just to kind of clarify that. So then we'll go to open, and I'm already open, but I'm just going to go. And then under open, it looks kind of like Illustrator in a way where you've got these this like dialogue box on the side, right? And it's kind of telling us, oh, you want to do preset details. What do I want to name this? So I'll just call this a test run, right? And then I have like options. So, what size do I want to make it? If I go to print, I click on print. Here I get all these different kinds of templates that are in here that I can use. This is great if you're going to be doing stuff for other people once you learn the software and you want to be able to kind of deconstruct some of these and build things. They're very fashionable, but you kind of have to know how to use the program in order to get in here and use these templates. But there's a lot of templates, and it's awesome, right? And then you can make it whatever size you want. So here we have letter size, legal size, blah, blah, blah. Let's say you wanted to build stuff for the web. Here's websites, templates for websites, just like Canva. You want to build things for your phone, like if you're working with mobile apps, and if you view all the presets, here's all the current phones, and you can get older phone settings as well. But what's great about this is you can get full app templates too that you can customize once you open them up. So like, let's say you're working on an app and you're working with someone in computer science that's going to actually do the programming for you, but you want to have like what the visuals are going to look like, you could build it all right in InDesign. Okay. So InDesign is a very powerful program, and it's a wonderful program to work with. But one thing about InDesign is it's a design program, but a design program in a way that you want to bring in assets that are already created. So Illustrator and Photoshop and InDesign, if you put all three of those together, you have extremely powerful graphic software. And that's state of the art. What you're dealing with here is what every major designer in every major company in the world literally is working with. So it behooves you to know this stuff because it's what you're going to need to get a job. And also, you can make money as a freelancer. You can make money, doing one-offs. I mean, all different kinds of ways. All right. So let's take a little bit of a look over here. I kind of have it set up. It's 8.5 by 11. We already know that our run is going to be 32 pages. And we are, at this point, we're going to leave it as one column. If you're going to do like a newspaper or a newsletter for someone, like let's say you're going to do a newsletter for your church, or you're going to do a newsletter for whatever organization you're with, and you want it to have like 2 or 3 columns, you can set that up here. This is what's called the margin. So this is where your text boxes are going to be. This is kind of important for you, even in book design, because you want to have a safe area. So in the safe area, that if you put any type outside of that safe area, the chances of it getting somehow cut off or whatever are possible. So you never want to have things that are so close to the edge of your page that they could be lost. Like you don't want the top of the head to get cut off, and not, unless you really want to trim it that way, you kind of want to be careful about that. So safe area is a good thing to have. The column width, obviously we're not going to have any columns, so we don't have to worry about that. The bleed and the slug. Now this is important to you too, because what this means is that you can put imagery, like say for example, you want to make the backgrounds of all of your comic color books, like all your pages, you want to have a powder blue, right? You don't want any white. So if you take a box and you fill it with the powder blue and you drag it to just outside the edge, when the printer cuts this, it's going to have powder blue all the way to the edge. So it's not like your printer at home that can't do that, because your printer at home can't go off. It'll get ink all over your roller. So it only can go up to about maybe 1/8 to 1/4 inch, and you always have that white edge, right? So that's what's called a bleed. A bleed means it goes all the way off the edge. So we want to keep those at 0. So that allows us to do that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and say create. So this is what we get. So this is it's got a window. So look at the top here. It's very much like, Illustrator. So the first thing we see is InDesign. Then we see we have file. If we click on that, you can see you have all the stuff, just kind of like, new, open, open recent, close, save as, place. Place is a little different. It's Command D in here to place something, not Command V, I believe, is place in Illustrator. Export, we're going to talk about export. Publish, and then we have this stuff down here. It's called package. Package is really a different thing than anything else that you're going to have. And what is it all about? So I want to talk about what it's about, because that's going to help you understand how the program works. So what package does is package takes all of your assets. So let's say you're doing your comic book and you've got one file that has all of one character, all the bodies, all the heads, all the whatever. And they're on all different artboards. And then you have another file with your second character, and they're in different places. Let's say you have one of them on a jump drive, and one of them is in your hard drive, and one of them is on, iCloud, and one of them is in your OneDrive. But right now, when I'm opening my computer right at this point, I have access to all the places that I've stored all the stuff. Okay? What package does is it goes and it finds every single thing. It finds every font that you use. Let's say you found a font that was, on DaFont, and you brought that into your computer. It'll bring that font into the package. It'll bring every picture into the package. Let's say you're doing a book or a brochure, and you've got a whole bunch of Word documents with articles from 10 different people. It'll bring every single one of those articles into the package. So it goes and it finds all the pieces, and it brings it all back and puts it in one folder, and it labels it. Images, fonts, and so on. So it's amazing, because now when you send it out to somebody else to print it, they have everything they need. If it can't find something, it's going to put a little yellow triangle, and it's going to be like, caution, caution, this is missing, right? And if you send it to me, like let's say you send something to me and the font is not there, and then when I try to open it on my computer, it will create a default font, and it'll put a pink border around that font until I replace it. So it won't work if you don't package everything ahead of time. Does that make sense? Everyone's got that part? Okay, so that, and we'll talk more about that, but that's kind of a big one. And then print, you can print, and you can print in PDF. You can see what it looks like and all of that. Okay, so let's click off of there. Edit, very similar. We don't have anything selected, but you got copy, paste, blah, 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 blah. In copy. In copy is really interesting. It's a special thing. So when you're designing something like a brochure, and you're putting it in a special font, and you've got like, bold titles, and then you've got subtitles, and then you've got your font copy, and you have all the different things in there, and you send it to the person that it's going to go to, and they are supposed to read it. Well, if they miss anything or they mess with anything, it could totally mess up your design, right? So what you can do is they can do it in copy. And what in copy does is it opens it up in a very plain font without all the pictures, without all the formatting, without anything. And then an editor can actually go through and just check your spelling and check your grammar. And so that's what that's for. It's really nice. Lots of different stuff in here. And again, we won't maybe use all of that. Layout, and this is talking about paper, margin, copies, rulers. Notice how this one opens up with rulers right away, not like Illustrator, you have to open it, and so on. So there's just a bunch of that. Font, very, very much the same. You can convert, you don't see any create outlines here. Notice that? So those are things that you would have to do in Illustrator and then bring them in. Object, you've got your transform, your arrange, so some of this stuff is going to be old hat. It's very similar to what you've already done. You can generate a QR code here. So let's say you're doing an article and you want to have, like, let's say you make a website for yourself, and you're making comic books and you're selling them on Amazon, and you want people to be able to go to your website and look for more comic books instead of like get lost in the millions of stuff on Amazon. you can put a QR code on every single one of your comic books by generating one from your website. So all you need to do is go to your website, hit the URL, come here, generate a thing, and it'll generate that code for you. And then you have it, and you can it'll make a little either a PNG or a JPEG of it, and then you can save it somewhere. Display performance is kind of a big one. This is something that always confuses students. So when we're working, we work in what's called typical display. What does that mean? That means that if you have a very large file, it's going to bring it in, but it's going to look a little pixelated because it wants you to be able to work fast. That is not what it's going to look like when it prints. It's only showing you a low resolution of it so that you can move things around and you're not using up all kinds of processing power on your computer. But if you get nervous and you want to see what does it really look like, you can go to this display performance and you can change it to high quality. Now, you do not want to work in high quality because it'll be slow everything down because you're bringing hundreds of files into this thing, you know? So you don't want to work in high quality. You always want to work in typical quality. But fast display, some kids say, oh, I'm going to go to fast display. And then they freak out because all they see is outlines because it gets rid of all the appearances. It gets rid of all the colors, all the FX, everything. And all you see are like a wireframe and then, or a white square. You won't even see anything except for a white square. You know, if you absolutely know what's in there and you want to work that way, fine. I can't work that way. So don't accidentally hit that. View, you know, again, this is a very similar kind of thing. Overprint view or preview in CPU. Proof setup, you know, these are all things we can talk about as we go forward. And then here's our that display performance again. Just like we talked about, we want to keep it in typical. So I'm going to go back there. So see, I clicked it. Now it's in typical. And yeah, a lot of extras. Story editor, how to hide changes of things that people are doing. Grids and guides, that's an area that you know about. And window. So notice that we don't have nearly as many palettes as we do in Illustrator because this isn't a program to create images. This is a program to bring the created images in and fit them all together like a puzzle. Okay, that's what this program is for. So we can see that we've got some things that are different. We have content, editorial, effects. There's some effects, not many. Styles, there's a stroke, styles, character styles. Character styles is something we haven't talked about at all. And what character styles do is you can set up style sheets. So if you know you're going to design a magazine, for example, and all the fonts in that magazine are going to be Helvetica, except they're going to be different versions of Helvetica, you can literally create them in paragraphs or characters, meaning like headings or subtitles, and you can create all your style sheets and give them a title. And then when you click on that character styles, notice I get a little box over here, and right now I have none created, but they would all be listed here. And then all I'd have to do is highlight my font and click it, and it automatically changes it right to the character that I want. So that's a wonderful thing. Okay, so we're going to close that. And right now we're in layers and we have one layer. Notice that we don't have artboards in here because what we have are pages. So here are all of our pages for our inside of our book. The cover is made in a separate document, and we aren't going to make the cover just yet. So I'm not going to get too concerned about that. When we do the upload, I'll have a whole video on how to upload everything. But, you know, for now, we're just kind of playing and working with how this all works. All right. So if I want to go to a page, let's say I'm going to make something. I'll just make something here. And if I'm just going to make what's called a frame. So notice I went over to my toolbar. Here's my toolbar. Let me bring it closer. And there's these two boxes. One of them is a shape box, and the other one is a frame box. The frame box and the shape box kind of work in the same way. What I can do is even before I start my comic, right? If I know, if I'm working with my, my mock-up book, and I know that I'm going to do, let me make this a little longer. I'm going to do X amount of frames on my first page. I'm going to say Command C, Command V, and I'll make another frame. Now they're identical in size, and I'm going to bring that one down, and I'm going to get it to match my border there. So that's my little gutter, my little safe area. So let's say I'm going to have one like that. I can go ahead and I can put these all over the place. So if I grab them, that same style, Command C, and I know I'm going to do a 2-page thing on page 9. I can just put in page 9. If I know I'm going to do another one on page 10, I can set up page 10. So I can kind of lay out where all my panels and all my text is going to go right off the bat. See how I did that? So now let's say I want all my pages to be blue. Well, I also have these things up here. They're called master files. So if I double click on a master file, and I go ahead and make a frame, so I'll have all my left pages blue, and I'm just going to come down here. And so now I created a frame, and notice right now it's no color. So I'll just double click it. And the other thing about InDesign is that when it comes up as RGB. Notice this little dot here. So I personally don't like it working in RGB. I like working in hue, saturation, and brightness. So if you click the hue, saturation, and brightness, it'll look just like Illustrator. All right. So just in case you get lost, that's a good way to go, because then you can kind of pick around and, watch your values. So let's say I'm on all the pages on the right side to be this color blue. I'll say, okay. So now look what happened to my pages. They all turn blue. Now, if I go to my left page, and I say, I want all of those to be violet. I mean, I'm not sure I would do this, but let's just say I did. And so I can zoom right in there, get right up close to the other one, and now double click and see how it remembered where I was? Now, if I move it up a little bit into violet, my circle is going to be in the same spot. So if I don't move that circle, see, it doesn't have a circle. It's got like a crosshairs, little different than Illustrator, and Illustrator has a circle. But I was in blue, and if I leave that without moving it, if I don't move this at all, then if I move it to a new color, my value will be the same. So I think I want that, so I'll say okay. So see how they kind of match in value? That's really nice. So now notice I have them all the way through my whole book, right? I can't get rid of them unless I get rid of them on the style sheet. Now you can make more master pages. That's called a master page. So if I click here, you can see that I can make insert pages and so on, and I can make more master pages. Anyway, so I'm going to delete those because I'm probably not going to use those, but I just wanted you to see them. Let me get back over to this side. There. So now they're all gone. But see, I can still see how I could still see these because the master page kind of goes into the background, right? So master pages are really useful, especially when it comes to numbering your pages and things like that. And I will do that in another lesson on how to number your pages because it's kind of a lot. But for now, I just want to talk a little bit about how it all works. So if I double click on any page, it takes me immediately to that page. So let's say I want to put something in this particular frame. So I will make this frame a color like I did a minute ago. And just like in Illustrator, I get those 3, like it remembers, like what appearances did you use? Or it has some defaults. So the default is none, always in the right, usually. And then there's gradient in the middle, and then whatever last color is here. So if I click that, I can go to that color. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I know these are the same size, so I'll go Command C, Command V. And now I only can put one thing in a frame at a time. So a frame is kind of like a bucket of water, right? I'm going to pull it over just a little bit so you can see there's 2 of them there. And I can put anything inside of a frame, but I can only put one thing in. So what I have to do is stack my frames. So if I want to put my image in my frame, let's go to place. So if I hit place, it's going to say, well, what do you want to put in here? I'm going to look for Sheila. See if I can find her. Maybe. Maybe not. Oh, I don't want to search there. I want to search iCloud. Now let's put in Sheila. There's somewhere in here, Sheila. There she is. So there's my Sheila AI. Actually, let's see if I have. Oh, there's my background. There's my Sheila with a body. So this is an AI file. See that? So now, one of the things that's really important, because we're using artboards, is that you'll notice that I have all these different artboards in here, right? All the different colors of her. And if I go to show, right now it says replace selected item. I don't want to do that. I want to go to show import. I can leave replace selected items on for another time, but for now I always want to show import options. And notice that I have this one is hot. I don't have the blue one hot because the blue one already has something in it. I just want to put her in there, in this clean one that doesn't have anything in it. So right now that's hot. And if I go to open, look what I get. I get this box, and it allows me to click through and pick out which Sheila I want. Do I want Sheila 1, 2, or 3? Now that's what my artboards are named. If I actually change the names of my artboards, like happy face, sad face, whatever, that's what would show up here. Okay, so this is why it's so nice to be able to put all your stuff in one file, because you can go through and just find it right away. So I'll say, okay. And there she is. And I click and there she went. But look she's way bigger than my file size, right? But it doesn't matter because she is an Illustrator file. So watch what happens. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Maybe not. There we go. So here's my file, and I'm just going to drag her. Let's see if I can drag her around. So there she is. Notice how all that shows up is her. So when you make things in Illustrator and you leave a white background, that white background isn't really a white background. It's transparent. Only thing that shows up are your vector files. So your vector shape and the appearances that you put in them, effects or whatever. So if I want her to fit, I've got this wonderful little area up in InDesign, which I absolutely love. So I'm going to zoom in and show you what it does. So the first one up here is my fill frame proportionately. So if I click on that, see, remember what I told you about how it looks pixelated because we're in typical display? Well, I don't want that, I want to, so let's go to the next one. Fill content proportionally. So the first one was fill frame proportionally. So it made her so big that the edges of her would fit exactly to where the frame edges are, because I'm filling the frame. But if I want to just get the content in proportionally, then I click that, and now she fits perfectly, right? So now if I go to the next one, it says fill content to frame, fit content to frame. Well, I don't want that because watch what happens. No, we don't want that. Command Z. There's certain things that we're never gonna, we're never going to do that with. There are other things we could do that with, like a sky or something like that, or a blue color or whatever. But there's some things that we don't want to distort. The next one is fit frame to content. Aha, that's what I want. So now I don't have this big messy content frame that's going to be like hindering me, because you remember how last time we talked a lot about how bounding boxes kind of get in the way? Well, this won't get in the way. So I can just go ahead and grab her from the center and drag her over. So there she is. Now I put her in here. So what if I want her to be smaller? Well, let's just make the frame smaller. So I'm just going to hold my shift key because I know that's her proportion. And I'm going to make her smaller. And it's like a frame is like a window. It only allows you to see what you want to see. So if I go here and say, now fit content to frame, now she'll fit the content to frame. Right? So if I want to put something else in this frame, like a background, let's go File, Place, and let's look for that background. I think I had that background around in here somewhere. There we go. We'll say okay. And that's the only thing I think I have in there. So I'll say okay. And now there's my background. So I did that. So if I want to move her a little bit, I can move her around. And now she's there. Let's say I just want to show part of her. So I'm going to make another frame. Just going to go, and remember, you always have one person in a frame. And I'm just going to kind of have her head over here like she's got a memory and she's talking about when she was younger. Something like that. Oh, Command Z. I definitely want to be on my selection arrow, not my direct selection arrow. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. So let's just kind of make this like that. And now we're going to hit Command D for place. And then we'll put in Sheila again. And this is just her head. Where's the one? All Sheila. The one we had a minute ago. Yeah, this one. And we'll go okay. And then let's kind of scroll through and get that one, like she's got different clothes on. And then we'll say, okay, we're going to grab that. And we're going to put her inside there. And now I can take my direct selection arrow. Look what my direct selection arrow does. See this gold box? That gold box is the exact same size as my Illustrator file. So I can go and drag that around. And if I want it to be really big, like I just want her head in there, I'm holding my shift key because I don't want to distort her. And I can bring her all the way in here. Now maybe I want her arm to show a little bit. So I'll click off. I'll go back to my frame and I'll drag it out. There we go. And I'll get it to match right up. And there she is. So now I have her talking about when she was a young girl. So that's pretty much it. That's like how Illustrator works. You can put type in here. This whole thing I could fill with type. I mean, it goes on, and we'll keep going with it. But let's just zoom in for a second. And remember, we talked about the whole display piece. So let's go to View. Let's go to our display performance, and let's go to Hide Display. Well, there you can see she's fine. Right? But we don't want to work that way. We want to work faster, and we want to be able to see how fast everything got brought in, and I didn't have to wait for it to load and do all that stuff. That's because we were on typical display. So you live with it because you know it's going to do what you want it to do later on. Okay. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts. And then the other thing that we see here is links. So right now you'll see that I have some links, and it shows me that exactly what my links are. Here's my background, and it tells me it's on page 1, or it's the first one. And then here's my body, right? And so I can see that I have the Sheila body. I have 2 different versions of the Sheila body in here. It tells me there's 2. See the twirl down? And so there's the one that I use for this side. And then here's the other artboard that I have for here. So these are all linked. There's no problem with them, right? So what if I changed it? So let's just, for the heck of it, let's go and open up Illustrator. And let's go to File, Open. This is how fast you can do it. And we're going to go to Sheila, maybe. I'm just going to, hopefully it's going to work. Maybe. Gonna be an iCloud. I know you can't see this part, but it's not wanting to let me drag it over. Okay, let's go to Sheila. And let's see, we were in Sheila Bodies, right? This one. Okay, so let's go ahead and open that. And there she is. And let's, I think this is the right one. Oh, it's funny, that thing is in there too. I hope it's the right one. Anyways, we'll find out in a minute. So let's just do some things. I'm just going to get rid of that. Maybe. Is it locked? something is going on. It's not letting me access it. Why? Why? Window. Layers. Yep, they're all locked. Okay, there we go. So we're going to delete that, and then we'll delete this. And now I think this is the right one. I'm hoping it's the right one, because I have multiples of her. So I'm going to change her hair color, just because I want to show you how this works. So I'm going to make it awful. Let's go up a little bit. There we go. So we'll say it's this color. Let's zoom in and get rid of that little brown spot that we have in there. I think this is the right color. I think this is the right file. If it's not, then we'll go and make it the right file. But all right, so we'll hit save, file, save. Now let's go back to InDesign and see. Now, see, it was a different file. Shoot. Oh, no, it isn't. Look what happened. See the little triangle up here? So what happened was, let me scroll down. It says, oh, you just made a change. Is this, what do you want me to do? You know, and so what I can do is I go to links, I click on, oops, I want to open those back up again. I click on the more bars and I can say update all links. And then let's see if it does it. And there it is. It just updated everything. So no matter where I have this in the whole comic book, see, now it also updated the one with the body, right? So it moved that too. So let's go ahead and fit that back to the frame. And so it's a little tricky, you know, but it definitely, you know, is something to think about. The other way to do it would be to delete that one and bring in the one that you want. So I'm gonna move her and bring her back down here, and like so, something like that. Okay, so now I have, and if I go to file display, if I go to view and I go to display performance and go to high quality, and there she is. And now I can see that I changed it. So that's what's really nice about this, is that as you continue to grow and you build your Illustrator skills and you build your InDesign skills, that if there's things that you made early on in the course that you now have like added all this crazy great stuff to, you can still start building now. And then you can just go back in and you can just say update, and you don't have to update all links. You'll notice that there's different ones. So you can relink, which will allow you to just relink that one image in the options, or you can go to the link, you can edit the original, edit with Adobe Illustrator. It lets you do that. I mean, it's just, it works seamlessly. That's what's so great about the way that these programs work together. So Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop is all the same. So if you brought in a Photoshop file, it would do the same thing. You would be able to do stuff. And then you notice that you see these links, like these frames. You can actually, there's an area where you can say, you know, hide frames. I think it's in extras. And then that way you would see what your comic book really looked like. So this is kind of the beginning of how you're going to start to work. Now I want to talk quickly about how you're going to hand in your midterm. So we're going to create a new file, and it's going to be a document. And it's going to be 8.5 by 11, and you're going to call this midterm with your first initial, and I'll put mine and my last name. Okay, so now I know that's my midterm, and I'm not going to have 32 pages. I need to get an A. I need my body types, right? So I need to bring in all of those. And then I also need, you know, so my heads and my bodies, so that I don't have to bring my heads and my bodies separately. I just need the bodies. So that would be, I could put those all on one page. I need two backgrounds. So really I mean, essentially, let's just say I could use, if I have all my characters done and I have three different characters, I would need those three. And so I need 5 pages and maybe a cover page. So let's just say I need 6 pages. All right, so we're going to hit it at 6, and we're going to say create, And there's my pages. Let me open them up. And there they are. So I'll put my bodies 1, 2, and 3 there, and my 2 things here. And then on this page, I'm just going to say a little description so I can write that out ahead of time. Like if I want to put in my character descriptions or something like that, I could create a file, or I could type right in my frame, and I could say place, and I could just get my Word document and it will go right in here. So I can place the document right in there and the type will come in. Or I can type inside of it. So I can say, you know, a story about Sheila and her friends, blah, 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 by T. Kenny. Okay, so that's done. And now I'm going to go here and double click. I'm going to put in a frame for my 3 Sheilas. So Command D, because that's how I get to my frames faster. And then I'm going to go to my bodies, wherever they are. So these are some different ones, but that's PDFs. I can bring in PDFs too, but I'm going to bring in the AI files. So we'll say open, and I'll put that one there. And I'm just going to click and go to fit to frame. And then I'm going to copy this frame. Now watch what happens. I can copy this frame, Command C, Command V. See how it gets copied right with her? So like if you have some comics like where they're in the same position, you can just copy and put it in the frame right in. So now in this case, I'm going to Command D. I'm clicking on this one. See how it's got the white boxes? It's highlighted. Command D. I'm going to go to my Sheila bodies. I think it's this one. Nope. This one. And now I'm going to say open, and this time I'm going to go to the second one and say okay, and I'm going to just switch her out. Oh, it didn't want to switch out. Why? Well, I'll tell you. Let me delete this one. Let's try it again. So I'm going to do Command D. I'm going to go to Sheila bodies, the one I was in before, and I want to say replace selected item. And now I should be able to replace it. So we'll say open, and this time we'll go here, and it should, there it is. So now I was able to replace it. And now I'll do one more. I'll just copy her again, Command C, Command V, and bring her down here. And I don't care, they can, you know, you can line them up however you like. And now I'm going to say Command D for place, and I already have it set. Doesn't go off. That's one nice thing about it. Remembers what you had before. So it remembers that you're using artboards, so it shows the options, and it remembers that I want to replace a selected item. And so now I will go into there again, and I'll pick my third one when I get to my little box. 1, 2. Oh, I only have 2. I thought I had 3 in there. Well, whatever. So I'll just put her back to the other one. But you get the idea. And so I would do that for all those 3 pages. And now I'm going to bring in a background. So I'm going to bring in another frame like this. And I'm going to go Command D and find that background. And I'm going to put that in there and say, okay. And there's my background. And if I say, so this is one of those where I can distort it a little bit. So I'll say fit content to frame, or I can say fit frame to content. But it's like, see how I got more clouds then all of a sudden? So there's that. So that's one of the ones that you can kind of play with a little bit if it's a plain background. And then I would do the same thing with this one. I'd bring in my other background, so I'd have my 2 backgrounds. And then I would go File, Save As. And I would call this my, see, it's already set, my Midterm Kenny, and maybe make a folder for it. So I'll just say Midterm stuff, because that's where I can put in my panel sheet and my other stuff. So we'll say save, and now it's in there as an InDesign file. It's not packaged. It's just as an InDesign file. If I want to package it, I would go File, Package. Now watch what happens when I go to Package. Here's all the things it's going to look for. Fonts, links and images, colors and inks, print settings, extreme, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to hit Package, and now it's going to say, where do you want me? and I'm going to say in my midterm folder, and I'm going to say package. And then it'll say restrictions. If you've got, if you have fonts you didn't pay for, it's going to know that. And now, boom, it packaged it. So now the last thing I'm going to do is go, let's see if I can get in there, hopefully. I have to find it. I believe it's in iCloud. And we're going to go to Sheila. Maybe. Oh, I want to say midterm stuff. Okay. So there's my midterm stuff. I can double click it and look what happens here. This is my folder. This is my package. So if I click on that and I want to put this, you can see that I have my links and all this other stuff, but look what else I have. I have a PDF. There's my PDF all made for me, ready to go. So also if I double click my links, there's my background and there's my Sheila images, my AI file with the different artboards. They're in there. See how it's got the little folded page? That means that there's more than one artboard in there. And there's my other background in AI. So everything is there. So all I had to do is package it and make my links. Now there's another way. You can go to File, Export. And when I click Export, it says, what do you want to be? And I say, I want to be a PDF print. And now when I do it, it gives me the option to make it the smallest file size. This is not going to be the smallest file size in a package. But when I hand it in for Dr. Kenny, I can just make it the smallest file size. So we'll say export, and then it's going to say, where do you want me to go? Usually, maybe. It might have just gone in the same spot I was in. I hate when it does that. Oh, wait, is it over here? No. Let me try that again. Where did you go? Oh, yeah, so it did go into midterm stuff. So now there's 2 PDFs in here. Right there. So it remembered my last folder. I just didn't pay attention when I was doing it a minute ago. So there it is. And now it's ready to hand in. So that's the basis for how InDesign works. Play with it. Start putting your midterm stuff in there. You can just save it as an InDesign file and reopen it again. Do not save it in Adobe Cloud. Save it on your computer or in your OneDrive or an iCloud or a Dropbox or wherever else you're saving things. If you package it, you can't really do, it kind of doesn't want you to do too much to go back in there. You can, but you'll have to resave it again. And then, of course, the new things that you put in aren't going to be in the same package. So packaging is something you kind of want to do at the end. All right. So I'm going to stop. And I think that was pretty successful.